Ladies and gentlemen, how you all doing? This is Colin Ulrich.
I'm Rangru. Hello, hello, hello.
And folks, today, He Who Thirsts and I are going to bring you a match over here on Hirashija. Rank, this is what, Division 2, I believe, right?
Yep.
And tell us a little bit more about the people that we're going to be seeing fighting on this particular map, please.
On the left-hand side, in the blue, we have the Graham Slam playing Second New Zealand with Vanguard Income, and on the right-hand side in red, we have a Prestor John playing 26 Guards Infantry with, guess what, guys? It's a Vanguard Income.
So we saw the Second New Zealand over here get their first kind of appearance in recent memory. Didn't go particularly well for them.
It did
But
not.
Super goes on now. I mean, this is actually, you know what? I don't even want to taint. I don't even want to taint it. Tell us, why is it Second New Zealand a decent choice against these Starkovic division, please, sir?
Well, they are a decent choice.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the Second New Zealand's like a lot of Commonwealth divisions. You know, you got the infantry spam, you got Sherman spam. I think your plates will do a little bit better just against the guard DPs because they're both kind of similar in a way, just in terms of numbers and decent amount of firepower. But yeah, it should be pretty interesting. We also don't see 26 guards infantry a whole lot. That's usually due to the fact that they don't have a lot of T-34 spam or Sherman spam, and that's really what makes or breaks Russian divisions, let's be real here.
The one thing that's a little bit disappointing, or not, I mean not disappointing, maybe has cause for concern, is that the Second New Zealand doesn't have any sea infantry at all. In fact, they don't have any sea anything in their entire deck, so I'm a little concerned about that.
Yeah, he's definitely playing the more risky approach of just trying to win in those first 20 minutes, so we're going to have to see if that does work for him. He still has a good amount of infantry to work with, but yeah, losing out on a sea phase card, it's always a safe bet to always take a sea phase card of just regular rifleman or whatever here. But yeah, in the town fight, the Shermans are definitely going to really come out on top. Shooting out veterancy bonus and stabilizers and just being Shermans in general here, so I think Prestor John's really going to have to make good use of the IS-1 and some of the more heavier tanks that he does have access to, as it is all just KVs really.
That's true, and I don't know. I feel like Big Papa Yosef over here is going to be just fine for a really long time. I don't see the Shermans being super effective. I don't even see them even being aggressive around him.
Yeah, and New Zealand doesn't have a whole lot of long-range heavy AT. He has some 17-pounders in B phase, but that's really it. It's a 6-pounder spam and Sherman spam, which, hey, does work. If you've seen that Nilla match, you'll definitely understand why. But on a map like this, it's a bit more harder, because the central, there's a bit of open field on this map. It's not in the most important areas. Really, the most important areas are pretty close quarters on the flanks and in the town here, but still an opportunity to shoot people at long range with heavy anti-tank.
We kind of mentioned we did just see a ZSU move on up here, and I kind of forgot how much of a groundskeeping piece of equipment it is, as it just kind of buzzsaws through everything in its way.
Yes, it is. It's pretty damn good at that. I've seen IL-2 37 trying to get some strafing runs, or anti-tank runs, I should say, but it's not the most effective anti-tank piece, so he is going to be forced to bugger off for now.
Interesting.
Indeed it is. But yeah, it's pretty, even Stevens so far. It's 13-11, Prestor John getting that advantage in the town as he holds a central position of it. But Graham can definitely still push in. Those Oplates, I gave him a little bit of a hard time in the previous time we've seen New Zealand, but I think are actually pretty damn good infantry for the price.
Oh, and that's the important thing here, too, is that for the price is the biggest concern here, right?
Yeah. They're only 5 points more on a, Commonwealth rifle squad, and you get an extra machine gun and an extra submachine gun, and 2 extra guys, and Raider trade.
Yep.
He's still lack AT, of course, which still sucks, but for 25 points, it's a pretty good infantry unit. Yeah, there's a reason why, with a lot of New Zealand decks, you do see him being the main pick.
And one thing I'd like to see a little bit more of is I feel like the New Zealand decks depend a lot more on their artillery than they do from a lot of other groups. Mostly because otherwise they're going to get buried under just tons and tons of infantry. Like it's going to happen right about now. We have what, 6 at the front?
Yeah, like a lot of guards, yeah. It's really, like a lot of Commonwealth divisions, they really do rely on Shermans and high explosive fire support vehicles to help out. You can't just really push with the infantry by themselves.
Although the carriers try to do a pretty damn good job on themselves. There we go. So 140 off map being brought in.
Yeah.
And another run's coming after this KV, excuse me, IS-1. And another aircraft just gets sent away ignominiously back to the showers.
Yes, and same with the AC-9 as well. Quite a lot of anti-air early on. We've got Beauforts, we've got quite a few ZSUs. This is pretty heavy anti-aircraft firepower so early here. Another AC-9 coming in, gonna be bombing the Vickers, and down goes the Vickers.
But you know what? I feel like the ZSUs have a good level of multi-purpose. The Bofors, I desperately want to love Bofors, and they're a great area denial for aircraft, but I feel like the ZSUs are just far more efficient in what they can do.
Yeah, you can move, they're mobile and armoured, so you can move them up, shoot some, Greeks, and then bugger off. The IS-1's still alive.
Real quick. There's a PTRS behind the front lines. This is going to get ugly.
Oh, I do love seeing the sneaky PTRS play. I hope he gets like a few good kills. I mean, I don't think he's going to kill Sherman. He's probably going to kill one of these transports and then immediately die to overwhelming firepower. I do like his northern push though, using the superior PPSHs and some Okamachikis to try and capture that flag, giving them a 14-10. Now, if he can really get some armor and more infantry up here to really secure that push, that would be a pretty good position to hold on to, because that's, 3 rather juicy flags, which are easy to contest.
Looking at that, I feel like the Diggers are probably the weakest New Zealand infantry here.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the Diggers Pia are right, because it's just your anti-tank infantry, which you can get, but yeah, regular Diggers, which are essentially just rifle teams, the Oplates are definitely the better choice. Diggers Piat just for the Piat.
Yep, and PTRS got himself a kill.
Nice.
And as he has retarded the progress enough that it's going to be enough time for the guard's going to take one flag. Actually, I have a second one. So yeah, this is going to be ugly real fast.
Oh, for the IL-2 could kill out Sherman, I'd definitely give him time to really secure his northern push here, but he has no real armor. The Piat does get one kill on the guard. And the second guard team does manage to unload as the Piat does miss, because it is a Piat. Can't expect too much from it.
I actually thought he was throwing grenades in, but maybe the reload was just
oh yeah, maybe it. That could have been it too, you're probably right.
6-pounders though, and actually I kind of like this. These are Yak-9 comes in, throws his life away, but he does take out a 6-pounder, and I feel like that's probably the way to kind of think about this. As the 26th Strakovia, you got to take out those 6-pounders. That's the only thing that can kind of really contest your IS-1s, which apparently died at some point when I wasn't paying attention.
Yep.
I think because of that 6-pounder.
It's always a curse when we're doing our casts. Like, all the interesting thing dies off screen.
That's the sound of a very, very lazy narrator, so that's what we are, guys. Like, we don't really care about showing you the big booms or the vital deaths. As long as you guys get through the cast, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's this central push here from Graham. It's actually working pretty well now. He's making some good progress. Gonna flip a few flags. Stack hounds in the armor really coming in quite clutch here. I think Prestor John's definitely been more focused. Point drives up north. Yeah, he's just loosened up a little bit in the center position, and also losing the IS-1. And yeah, he's getting pushed out of this town really fast. And you can't really afford that, because once you fully lose that town, it's very hard to get back in.
Actually, one thing that's surprising me is those 30 carriers are much better than I kind of initially gave them credit for being. The double Browning on top. It's not it's not perfect, but it's just enough firepower to make you actually care about it,
And it's 5 points, which is really good. Like 5 points with 2 machine guns on an armored platform is very worthwhile. I mean, if anyone's played War Game Red Dragon and know the DLC creep of APCs with more machine guns, you know what I mean.
Actually, I will say I think it's free recently,
It
but
was free recently, yes. It's had like a lot of players GTA, which is pretty cool. Nice to see a resurgence on that game.
so I'm watching as the Kitty Hawk to the north goes and tries to bomb those two sniper teams.
And
I'm
there's
not gonna
no
say it's
longer...
overkill, but
Yeah.
when you have 200 pounds of explosives per man,
That was rough, Ryle. That was definitely rough, Ryle.
dude, that was a power move and a half.
Mm-hmm. The one thing I do love about New Zealand is all the new aircraft that they have.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Sherman being engaged by a T-34 column to the north and down to the middle side. We're actually going to see another guard squad as we move down in. I don't know if they have the legs to get there necessarily. Actually, you know what? They're gonna get super lucky here. There's not a lot of stuff in position to really contest them.
Yeah, right now, so he really needs to get that guard squad into the town to try and halt this. But still, once again, the main problem is also a lot of their armor. The Shermans, the Staghounds, the Carrier 30 cows. There's a lot of firepower, and this is exactly how Prestor John needs to play his town position. You really just screen of infantry and letting the armoured vehicles do the talking. And when I mean talking, I mean slinging machine gun shots and high explosive cells.
You have a very weird way of conversing with people, right?
Yeah, it's just right, people don't like to talk to me. I usually carry around a 75mm French Rotor 1 artillery cannon. It scares people off. I don't know why. I'm using it to just defend myself against the Hun in case they come.
Pretty sure stand your ground laws don't really cover that, but I don't know how it is up in the frigid north.
It's the wild west up. It's the wild west
Wild
of
north. Forget the
wild
west.
north up here. You know, it's all just Arctic tundra and
Angry meese.
angry. You haven't seen a moose charge at you, man. Those things are nasty.
Oh no, they
They're
are
like
terrifying.
huge. Like you think they're like just deer size, but no, they're like bloody bear size. And they got big horns which could impale you. They're not something you want to run into in the middle of an alley.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. There's a moose. I mean, there's not a whole lot of trunk space on the moose in the first place. And you stick him in an alley. Yeah, dude, this here. Ugh.
Yeah,
You mess with the moose, you get the horns, right?
exactly.
Now Sherman after Sherman has been killed over here in the center, and we are into Phase B. So that does mean there's a potential of 12 more Shermans, and that's it. It's gonna last him the rest of the game.
Yeah, he's really gonna have to try and make his work. Because in terms of points, he is down on points right now. He really needs to start getting a +2 bleed somewhere if he wants to try and win this. If it does go into C phase, as he will not have the attrition, just period.
I continue to say the way you get around this is you use artillery.
Yep. We do actually
Skygun
have,
goes down as well. Jeez, those guards continue to be massively. They're just so killy.
yeah, we do have quite a bit of artillery being brought in from 26 Guards. And what I mean by a lot of artillery, I mean 2 on-map like cards, which is very unheard of really in these 1v1s. But you are playing 26 Guards, and they are like the artillery spam division really, so it does make sense.
But that's the right call. I mean,
Yeah.
the 203 in the first place doesn't have a lot of ammunition comparative to a lot of other field pieces, but it is extremely worthwhile in terms of the the kabooms, and that's the big thing.
Yeah.
That's what you like. So
It's very good at like precision killing like anti-aircraft guns and
Yes.
important targets. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm interested. He did bring in those F-22 guns in C phase, pretty much the CIS-3 style artillery pieces. They're pretty good, but I wonder how effective they're being 2-star veterancy, as we usually don't see people bring veterancy on artillery, period.
I think that's a mistake. I'd like to see the day when it ends up becoming a little bit more prevalent, but that extra accuracy means that your munitions go a lot longer. That means that you have a quicker turnaround in terms of like the rate of fire. So I mean, that it definitely pays itself off, I feel.
Yeah. In 1v1s, I'd say it's definitely would pay itself off to bring vetted artillery, as you're probably not going to buy a whole lot, so you can get away with having less availability. And if you're good, they shouldn't die. While if you're playing the classic team games or 10v10s, just take everything unvetted. It just comes down to spam at that point. Speaking of
absolutely.
spam, the guard push is actually regaining. It's not territory per se, but he has halted the New Zealand push in the centre here, just walls and walls, if I'm saying it with a W, of infantry just holding the line.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of there's a story back in the Winter War, I think, where they would start clearing minefields by linking arms and just kind of walking across them. I feel like that's how
Do
he's
they
building the
really
wall
do
here.
that? Like,
Yeah,
that's
there are reports of the Finns screaming at them to go away, please, that their life actually mattered, and they would link arms, sing patriotic songs, and then clear minefields that way.
that sounds like totally unbelievable, but I kind of believe it.
Oh, well, these are the Finns saying it, and the Finns
I
really
know.
have no reason to lie about
Yeah, no,
this.
no, I'm not discrediting you, Khan, but that's just like,
That's
that's
yeah.
crazy. If they, I mean, of course, people in comments, if you also know anything about this, please let me know, because that's one of the craziest things I've heard all day.
It ranks up there with forcing German POWs after Second World War to defuse the mines on the Western Front by hand.
Oh, I can definitely imagine, yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
The French were pretty pissed.
yeah,
Let's
yeah.
just leave it at that.
Yeah, but yeah, we got some off-map being brought in from Prestor to try to secure the center. And I think with a good off-map artillery, battery, uh, barrage, that's the correct word, and then moving in with the cards, you could probably get a good amount of territory.
And unfortunately, it's just in time for the Maoris to come on in. And these guys, again, these squads are so freaking good. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh
Well,
gosh.
I mean, it's mainly just because they have the fanatical trait, which makes them
Yep.
impossible to surrender. But yeah, the two machine guns is nice. Yeah, they're definitely a weird squad in a way, because they're not like... They're a good machine gun squad, but they're not a great CQC squad, really. But they're cool nonetheless. It is, the whole historic thing of Maoris just taking automatic weapons because, hey, we want to shoot more bullets because that's more powerful.
I kind of have to minorly disagree with you just on the whole idea from the CQC. I mean, if you're saying CQC through 300 meters, yeah, fine, cool, totally get that. For Lee Enfield's, not a lot of firepower there. But you have 4 submachine guns with MP40s and the Thompsons themselves. I'm not saying the DPS is going to account for the fact that you have to get knife killing close, but town fights that 100 meters could be more than enough, I would think.
Yeah, do good against like guard squads and regular infantry in your CQC, which does help, but against dedicated CQC troops like Superiors and flamethrower guys, you're not
Oh,
going to
okay,
want to
that's
throw
fair,
them
yeah.
into, yeah. It's more just, it's like a nice deterrent, so to speak, especially if you're fighting against Axis, because like your Panzer Grenadiers at close range on... Actually, are pretty decent because of machine guns. I
Hmm.
always forget that machine guns can shoot close range in this game.
Yep.
I'm just so ingrained to the SD44 standard of 100 meters, no shooty machine gun. But the RC are pretty good, so I'll take it back. I mean, still not the best CQC, don't be throwing them into forest fights, but if the need arises, having a few Thompsons and MP40s is not terrible.
True. True. Now we're starting to see some more and more furballs in the sky here, just because of just all of these ground attack planes. We've actually seen our brave ace over here in his Spitfire going down. Poor Victor Mitchell Sixes.
Beautiful.
I've been practicing. I've been practicing.
Mm-hmm.
But as he dies, it looks like some more heavy, Iron Rain's going to fall down over here in the center as well, which is fine because the Willie's OP. That's already used all of its barrage. But I imagine the foot sloggers in front of him are going to feel rather differently.
Yeah. And these barrages haven't really done all that much here for Prestor. It hasn't really managed to push afterwards. Even this one isn't getting it's getting a few kills and a few suppressions. I do hope Prestor will make a push after artillery does drop, because he could make a decent amount of headway. He really needs to try and gain a... Well, he does need to get territory, of course, to get that +1, but he does have that attrition game, just looking deck rise. And he still has a lot of time, really. So I feel like he's not in a huge rush to try and push back. But, sure, it's still nice to try and run earlier for obvious reasons.
Well, I might be wrong here, but I think he took out the OP with a 25-pounder. So that was like the first
Nice.
there merked the OP over here from the Soviets. And now he's just kind of having fun by just kind of continuing to pound the corpse into the deeper and deeper
Yeah.
hole here. But this is the kind of thing that I think is worthwhile. He's got the supply trucks. He's got the off-map. Well, he's got the on-map, for that matter. Bring in that material on. Bring on the artillery commander for quicker, kind of more reactive firepower. And you can see already it's going to pay dividends.
Yeah, it's getting some decent hits, and just slow down the guards for now. But the main thing is
Yes.
that Graham, he really needs that +2. I mean, we're just entered into C phase right now. He's just gonna start running out of stuff eventually. I mean, the same thing with Prestor. He does C phase units, but not a whole lot either. But I still has 2 ISUs available to him, and those things are pretty nasty, man. And we're actually going to be seeing a 203 being brought out. Probably try and do some counter battery.
That's the right call. Just absolutely the right call.
Yeah.
Down to the south, these guys have just been having a smoke.
Oh, yeah.
So that's fun. I mean, congratulations to them. They've been able to kind of just chill. And unfortunately, it looks like both these 25-pounders are probably going to get barraged by the same piece of artillery pretty quickly here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's really just coming down to his town fight now. Northern push is definitely slowed doon here for Prestor John, as Graham did manage to push him out. Yeah, he's actually going to be trying to push back here. But the Maoris, like, this is a good CQC engagement for him as they're just fighting regular guards. So, that's going to work out quite nice.
Yeah, I was going to say, this comes with a bit of an asterisk, since they have a fortification bonus, they have, like, they're just super duper close.
Yeah. It's going to take quite a lot of guards to rout them out, and of course you can't just surrender them because they got that lovely fanatical trait. Yeah, Graham, I'm feeling a little bit worried for him. I mean, he still has that 1 flag advantage, but it could all tip very quickly. I mean, that 1 in the town is so close to flipping.
I do not understand not pressing to target, though. There we go. We have finally pressed to target. He's going to probably lose the Spitfire here, but he had 3 different planes that moved in, and 2 of the planes he was like, I'm not going to press.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of anti-air in that town. It's going to be... see, it's only 2 ZSUs, but it's enough to shoot down a Spitfire, which is all that really matters.
Well, and now 25-pounders is going to go after that, and the 203 is actually aiming for the town.
Oh.
Curious.
Oh, he's trying to... I thought he was trying to shoot the Bofors, which has to also be a pretty good call. But yeah, just shooting into the town here.
ZSU backing off, which is a good call, and the other ZSU, yep. So, I think Prestor John over here has looked into the eyes of the Ethiopian Lord and realizes, yep, ZSUs need to kind of be where ZSUs belong, at the end of the alphabet. So, it's a good call.
All the way at the back, yes. Yeah,
exactly.
It definitely feels like it's just going to come down to the town fight now, as both sides are really just throwing everything in the kitchen sink in here. I mean, we even have bloody 17-pounders in here, and it's not the most ideal spot for a 17-pounder. Probably a little bit too close for their liking, but there's some KVs, and they do need to die.
Yep, without a doubt.
Those KVs can actually trade pretty efficiently as a Sherman, since they have a lot of armor. They're pretty... I mean, they are technically heavy tanks. I don't like the best heavy tanks, but they're still... Actually, I would classify them as proper heavy tanks. I mean, 125 armor is only, like, 5 off. Or I think it's the same armor as a Tiger, actually. Or maybe a little bit more. Anyway, it's heavy. Shermans don't like it. Yep.
What the hell just happened?
What did happen?
I'm just...
What happened?
The KV-1 monologues, I have no idea what you were just saying. Is it a heavy tank or not?
Right. I've officially gone off the deep end. I'm gonna be checking into the psychiatric ward after this cast con.
Well, you know what, guys? This is how you know it's bad. He's gonna start calling it 57 millimeters when it's, you know, the New Zealand division. So, we're seeing right now infantry over here in the center getting pushed back. At long last, the Kitty Hawks actually pressed the target, and look, they even both made it out without actually dying. So, to me, I feel like that screams you've got to be aggressive with the air power.
Yes, yes.
And here's one more thing we haven't seen yet. We actually haven't seen Boston's at all. There's still 4 Bostons we could see, and I'm not suggesting that they're going to be able to turn the tide by themselves. But you know what? There's an awful lot of infantry and a couple of tanks here as well in the center that could really benefit from a paddling of high explosive.
Yes. You know, for now, Graham is holding on to his town. Like, he's got like a good no man's land set up with the artillery. I mean, Prestor John has been forced to retreat a bit with his infantry. I'm still, once again, curious about the attritional rate, attrition so far, because I don't think Graham has a lot of those opulentes left in him. Well, there's still a lot of guards ready to be poured into here.
True.
Yeah.
True. And actually, we're seeing up north for half a second. We are seeing successful hold, but now these IL-2s are coming in, and 200 kilograms are coming down a piece of those bombs. And the Maoris, they might be fanatical, but they can be slain just like any other man.
Bombs are pretty indifferent about your
morale.
About your morale. Bombs don't care about your HP.
That's true. That is true. Unless, of course, you are, in fact, a Voltorb, at which point, explosions only knock you out. It's never effective in self-destruct.
Indeed. Indeed it is. I feel like it's going to be a slow bleed for Graham eventually. I mean, the town flag is so close to flipping here, and he hasn't really managed to make that +2. Yeah, we go. It flips over to a 12-12. Yeah.
This can be fixed, though. He pressures that one guard over here with just one set of artillery shells, and that could be enough.
It's very true. That's very true indeed. But the action's really happening up north as some T-34s try to crest over the hill. Some airplanes are duking it out in the sky.
Interesting. Artillery is turning its attention to the north. I'm not sure I really would have done that, but hey, that's good on them. Another 203 to the north. The other one probably got bombed or something.
I think it's dead. Yeah, it's dead.
Oh yeah, it's quite dead. It's having its own private campfire. I can tell you that much.
He just needed to bring his own marshmallows, really.
That's true. That's true. But hey, you know what? I think they like their meat red. So.
I wonder why.
And the Bofors is going to get hit by the 203. That's, I understand the thought process, and at the same time, I kind of don't.
What do you mean?
The targeting thing for me, I'd be identifying, okay, I know my opponent's been keeping me at arm's length by using artillery. I'm going to hit his artillery.
Yeah, that's also a good call. I do think knocking out anti-aircraft positions is probably should be the priority target for artillery, especially for that type. Not just due to the fact that, yes, the artillery, is more of a direct threat compared to anti-air, but the anti-aircraft guns is easier to blow up because they take more damage from ground fire targets.
That's fair. So, I'm watching, this huge swath of guards coming forwards, and to me, I'm seeing this as, you know what, if I can make my life easier for my guards, I want to go and pound the artillery so I don't have to worry about things like being suppressed.
Artillery, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it is going to actually suppress some of those guards. Maybe the Bofors going down, he can drop some bombs on the Oplates and push through.
That's also true. And that's one of those things that, just to me, I know my general idea is hit the rear lines first, then worry about the front lines. Because if I have number superiority, and he's got to know he's got superiority in numbers here, just because the way that stuff has been brought in or not brought in.
Yeah.
He's got to know that he's got the numbers.
Yep. Now, just looking at this town, there's so many more guards in here compared to Oplates. I feel like this is the point where Graham is just out of stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we take one look down to the south, and we see again that these guys are herding. Are they herding sheep? What are they doing down there? So just having a smoke and a pancake. So.
Yeah, just chilling out, it seems. It's always funny on this map. The southern side is usually pretty quiet. We do see pushers here, but the reason that we usually don't see pushers is that there's a lot of open ground between you and the enemy, and a lot of areas to hide anti-tank guns overlooking the field. So it's usually a very deadly push. If you can do it, you can definitely surprise your opponent.
And that's kind of the goal, isn't it?
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so they're trying to hit the 25-pounders. Okay, now the 25-pounders have been separated. There we go.
There we go. Even using the F-22s as well to help out in the counter-battery game.
Yeah, those Raptors are a real scary thing. Mothers up there, man.
I know, right?
In the meantime, 17-pounder, I think, gets himself a rather, lovely kill here, going after KV-85. And indeed, there's a second 17-pounder who's going to just completely shot in the backside between guards and the KV-85, and dude, this KV-85 are circle strafing him. He's playing Co. He's playing Co too.
Yeah, I like how he did micro him out once the guards managed to get machine gun shots in, and yeah, I mean, He really shouldn't be putting his 17-pounders in the town. I get it as an act of desperation to try and blow up those KVs, but it's just so... You're just really not going to get your money's worth. I'm going to be much better just outside the town, even in the open, just using them to try and snipe a KV, which, you know, appears from the flank. Oh, here comes the Boston, yo.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, you can kind of say it's been such a long time. And you know, those poor guards down in that tank stand below, I think they were worried about planes coming in, but I think those bombs just proved it's more than a feeling.
God damn it, Khan.
What's that?
God damn it, Khan.
These tanks, again, they're starting to ramp up their, not just the production, but just vehicle after vehicle. We have the OT-34, so again, that's a modified KV, as if memory serves. Yes.
OT-34? It's a modified
yes.
T-34. Yeah.
But Flames have not really been shooting out of them just yet, but I think that's more been a concern just because of that single 17-pounder, that single Sherman. Once those guys go down, I feel like that's going to be, you know, a field day for the OT-34.
Yeah, it should be to finish off last of infantry, and there's really not much infantry left here in this town. Like, as I keep saying here, but he is still holding, you know. Graham is barely holding on to his half of the town, so to speak here, just using the bombing runs right now to really try and buy him some time.
You know, and I realize hindsight is 20/20, but I can't help but feel that maybe it would have been better for him to bring in a single Boston as opposed to the 4 or 5 Kitty Hawks, which unfortunately did not press the target. Like, that's going to bother me throughout. That's been bothering me this entire cast. Everything that you play in a given match, and I realize I'm saying this as we watch with God Vision, it has to have a single intent, and I think every single time you bring a plane in and force it to fall back before it gets off the ordnance that it has, that's essentially lost points. You might as well bring something else in overall.
Yeah, you lose that time investment, so to speak here.
And time is that one commodity that you know, of course, you can't get back.
No, especially if you're playing a very heavy vanguard, as Graham is.
True.
Yeah, that T-34, or OT-34 I should say, is getting in close. Not close enough to use that rather hot flamethrower, unfortunately, but maybe sometime soon.
That's certainly the hope.
I hope so too, Khan. I hope so. There we go. Burn, baby, burn.
You think Hoplites like Disco Inferno?
Well, they're gonna have to very soon.
That's true. I mean, the T-34 is certainly burning that mother down.
Yeah. Yeah, and if no, like, Shermans left in this town, it's just a complete field day for that OT here.
Unless a 17-pounder can get a line of sight on him. Actually, oh my gosh, he's actually going to destroy this KV-85 instead. Good God. KV-85, get off the road, man.
Move!
Oof.
But the heavy tank is not heavy enough to survive a 17-pounder shot.
And the Maoris at that point realize, wait a second, Hakas don't do anything against flames, and they book it.
Yeah, he still has a few Maoris left, Joe, but no anti-tank in his infantry is definitely going to hurt him out here. This one OT-34 is just having a bloody field day.
Mm-hmm. That is certainly true.
Yep. Yep. But still, like, I mean, Graham is losing, as we can clearly see, but he's holding the town better, like, compared to how it could be going.
Yes.
Like, he's keeping the guards at bay with the artillery and the bombing runs just to buy him time, but that time's really not going to be used for anything efficiently here. And that whole northern post has just been completely... Well, he did manage to defend that northern side as well.
I really am surprised by that. Oh my gosh. Okay, there's so much automatic weapons fire going out towards that poor guard squad. I actually legitimately thought for a second there's a Sherman or it's in there.
Yep. Here comes the OT-34, but he's gonna run into a 17-pounder, it seems. And some bombs.
And there's still a Sherman in the area, too.
Yep.
It's only a single Sherman, but it's a Sherman nonetheless. And there's a 17-pounder along with Maoris, and that was hard to watch. Wow. Cover the eyes on your kids.
I know, right? Lots of violence going on here.
Well, now we see violence inherent in the system. Yeah, that's completely right. OT-34 is going to find himself getting shot in the backside. Not really sure I'd really want to face my fuel tank towards people when I have a lot of, like, what amounts to basically liquid napalm.
Yes. Okay, he's gonna turn around in time.
There's two Shermans.
Oh yeah, it's... Oh, he might get an arm. Oh, he flames the first Sherman. That doesn't do much. And the second Sherman comes in and saves the day here. He's actually pushing back now. Like, Graham's pushing back with the few things that he has. You know, there's a lot of guards, but
this is the last stand. I mean, again, we have two IL-2s moving on in. The artillery has barely spoken over on the Soviet side. There's still, I'm guessing, another 10 or 12 guards to come out. I hate to be that guy because I'm an optimist eternally.
Of course, Khan.
I've
I've known you. You're a very optimistic guy from when I've known you.
Exactly. That's how you know my glass is always empty because I need more to drink. But I feel like this is that last kind of like hopeless charge of the light brigade kind of thing because now we're seeing more KV-1s being brought in. And while yes, we haven't seen a lot of tanks, that's more just because there aren't any tanks to be had.
Yes.
But I can trade 3 squads of guards for every Sherman that's left, and that's still a success for me. So.
Yes. Yeah. IL-2's like not doing great anti-tank rise, but just suppressing the Shermans for now, and I feel like it's really been these Bostons and other bombers that have been coming in. That's really been, buying that time for Graham, but there's so many guards. I mean, if you just look at it from... Like, Graham only has 55 infantry units in total, while Prestor John has 117.
Yep.
That really says everything.
Oh, it absolutely does.
Yeah, that says everything.
But he refuses to give in, and I gotta admire that gumption. Watch, surrender. But New Zealand. I feel like New Zealand has been one of those things. I feel like people are still trying to figure out how to play them exactly. I know you mentioned the fact that it's a Commonwealth deck. You're absolutely right. There's still good in there somewhere. I can feel it. Yeah. The Emperor hasn't driven it completely from him.
Yeah, I mean they're very similar to Third Canadians in a way. Really, I think you have to play it like you would with Third Canadians. Like I think you can do a pretty similar effective rush. Yeah, Nilla did, as we've seen in Natcast, with like Sherman spam, high-powered infantry just rushing right in. Because they do have like pretty good infantry in New Zealand. It's just the anti-tank is a bit to be desired. But there we go. 1,000 kill difference, roughly, which is usually pretty standard.
And there you go, the Yak 9 with Nikolai over here.
Whoa!
A lot of those are infantry kills, but that still always a lot of very, very effective firepower. And geez, I didn't even see 2 Bostons go down, but we have 1 ZSU over here by Kapralov. 4 air kills. That's impressive AF, man. Jeez, and the other one, Borderdine's got 3.
Wow.
I think a lot of this had to have happened at the end. The IL-2 over here, 4 ground kills.
Oh, wow.
KV-85, 3 ground kills. KV-85, 4 infantry, 1 tank. Yeesh.
I take back what I said about the IL-2 not being a good ground attack plane. That was... I mean, getting 4 kills with the 37 is pretty good.
On the other side over here, Sontag, several kills. Well done to him. Bofors did pretty well, taking down 2. Except for Oplite doing decently well. But the major issue, and we'll talk about this every single time we see the second New Zealand, is that you've got to be more efficient about how you deploy, I would say, your limited anti-tank assets.
Yeah. I think that map is harder to do the hard Vanguard A phase, B phase rush, as a town fight is a real slog, and he almost got like under complete control, but then the guards band came in and shut it down. And it's also a hard map to really effectively push the flanks. Like the flanks are pretty choke pointy, and the northern flanks have a good density of flags, which makes it worthwhile to push. While the southern flank, the flags are pretty spread out over the large peninsula areas, which doesn't really make it worthwhile to push. Yeah, so I think the map also hurt him quite a bit, because that is a very choke pointy map, and it's harder to do that hard Vanguard push on such a map like that.
Well, and that really is just kind of the issue of roles. That sometimes, some days you're the windshield and some days you're the bug. So. But regardless, Graham Slam, I honestly, I always enjoy seeing him play over here. Prestor John, I mean, he's a holdover from way back when. I'm happy to always have him on board.
Mm-hmm.
Any final thoughts for our intrepid heroes?
Not today.
Well, folks, maybe if you check back in next week, Rang will have some more thoughts then. Until then, I'm Con Ulrich.
I'm Mangru. Take it easy.